JFJ Easy Pro. Disc polishing made easy. Well, kind of. So first up, we're just going to see what you get out of the box. You get some buffing compound, clearly labelled number 2, and some polishing compound, labelled number 1, even though you use number 2 first. You also get 2 sanding pads for buffing out really deep scratches. You get a coarse and a fine one. Never use the coarse one, just use the fine one. Seems to work fine for me. You also get 2 pads. Why 2? Because you've got 2 different types of solution. You can't mix them together. So you end up using one just for the blue one and one for the white one. Now, onto the machine. Here we have the machine itself in its $125 glory. Pretty basic. You've got your on-off switch here on the front. Little fuse that you'll never need to touch unless you do something drastically wrong to it. These timer buttons here, and each one lights up when you press it. Tells you how long it's going for. It doesn't give you any sort of indication of how long it goes for, which is fine. You can just set it, walk away. For safety, always close lid before operating. Now, the lid itself includes a cutout switch on the top, which I'll show you in a sec. Pretty basic, really. It's really what you pay for, really. $100, $125, depending on where you buy it and how cheap it is. You get some polishing compounds and things like that, but really pretty basic. 1 minute and 2 minute isn't very necessary, because if you run it for 1 or 2 minutes, the disc inside gets too hot. Well, it doesn't get too hot, but it gets fairly warm, and that can cause issues sometimes. Or the disc can actually unscrew itself slightly. So I recommend only 10 and 20 seconds. Around to the side here. Nothing really, just some vents for the power supply inside. Now, speaking of the power supply, normally these only come in 110 volts. They did for a long time, and then just recently they brought out the 220 volt version for Europe. It doesn't come with an Australian plug. They do supply you with a European plug, a big chunky one, and an adapter for it, which is fine. It's a pretty good quality adapter, so you can use it on other things too. I believe they're almost the same price, maybe $20 difference between the two versions, between the 100 and 200 volt versions. So here's the inside of the machine where all the magic happens. It's probably a bit hard to see, actually. I'm holding it out with my hand. Here's what makes it the plus version, is it has a different type of loading arm. The original one, I believe, only used one of these little arms. That's why they're called one or double arm. Apparently makes it better. Spring in here, which when your pads get a bit worn down, it doesn't make contact inside there, and it makes a horrible rattly noise. So it sort of forces you to throw out your pads when they're not all the way used. Here is the disc. So you put your scratch disc on here, and you lock it down with this lock nut, and then you either get sanding pad, buffing pad, or polishing pad, depending on what you want to do. And they've got some fluffy foam stuff on the back, and it just sticks in there. I need to clean this machine. It's pretty filthy. One other thing to note is you really want to get yourself a little spray bottle, just with some water. You can put some alcohol in it if you want, some rubbing alcohol, and a nice quality cloth to clean up afterwards. You're also going to need another cloth, like just a cheap spongy one, just to wipe off this first lot of polishing solution. So here's my disc here. Someone's attacked it with a Sharpie and everything, and it's really scratched up, so I'm going to do it through the full cycle here. So what you do is you undo your lock nut there and pop the disc on, and make sure it's on flat, because if it's crooked you'll just ruin the disc and put cracks all through it. Tighten it up, not too tight. Sorry, that was all out of the frame. Not too tight. Spin them around, and then you want to get your sanding pad. We'll just pop the sanding pad in here, pop it down, You can use some water if you want. You don't really want to use the water on the sanding pad. It doesn't really help too much. And all you have to do is close the lid. Might be a bit stiff to close down. Make sure it's all closed up. Now, just flick on the power. Red light comes on. And you pick how long you want to go. With sanding, I recommend only short cycles, maybe 10 or 20 seconds. This one's pretty bad, so I'll put it on for 20 seconds. It's pretty noisy. This is after just 20 seconds of sanding it. We can't tell it too easy in the video, but it's pretty evenly sanded down. Nothing too bad there. You can give it another go if you really want. You have to get in the right light and sort of just check it. See if you can see any sort of scratches that don't match up with the ones that you put on there. It's easier to tell in person. So that one's fine. So now we're going to go into the polishing. So with your polishing, you'll get your polishing pad like this one. Mine's pretty worn down. I'll have to replace it soon. So what you do is you get your white solution here. And then it's easier to do it while it's inside the machine, but I'll just show you outside the machine, save moving the camera around and everything. So you get your little white one, and you just... I found the easiest way, when you first get the machine, you'll want to wet the entire pad. But if the pad's already moist or whatever, or you've been using it a couple times that day, you'll only need a little bit. But this pad's been sitting dry for a while, so I'm going to put a couple more blobs on there. It's much easier to do while it's inside the machine because it's not moving around. So like that. They recommend putting 6 even dots on it. But I find if you put... when the first couple of seconds you turn on the machine, a lot of it will just fly off. And you can't really make much use of it. And that's where this spray bottle comes in handy. So what you want to do is you just want to spray the disc, and I like to spray the pad as well just to get it going. And then you close your lid down. Before you close it down, actually just double check that nut's tight, sometimes it comes loose. And to start with, I'd say give it 20 seconds, see how it goes. I just ran this through again for 2 lots of 20 seconds there. That horrible noise you could hear, the real buzzy noise, that's this spring in behind here, because this pad here is probably worn down too far now, and the spring is sort of just flying around in there. So it's still got the compound on it, but you can sort of see, if you hold it in the right light, like I said before with the sanding, just see if it's all gone. You can sort of wipe a little bit off if you really want. Have a look there. Yeah, it looks pretty clean. There's no scratches on here. Now, you can just leave it at that if you want, but if you want it to get to look brand new, then you want to use your blue compound as well and clean it off. So just to clean it, what I'll do is I'll just get the water. Probably want to take it out of the machine first if you want. Take it out, pop it up, and I'll just get my not so good rag, just a rag, whatever, microfiber is better. This white compound sort of sticks to everything, so there we go. It's pretty neat looking, but we're going to go through the whole cycle here with this disc because it was a bit, how you going? Because this pad's not as worn down, it's not as noisy. It is a bit noisy when you first start it. So that was 20 seconds then, just to be sure. Another 20 seconds. So here we are with the finished disc. It's just got a little bit of that polishing compound left on it. So what you can do is you can either get some water again, get a little wet, or it's even better is to get some alcohol instead, some rubbing alcohol, and wipe it off like that. So water should be fine, maybe a bit of soap and water or anything like that just to sort of lift it off. One thing I don't like about this machine is it puts a little scuff, even though it doesn't affect the disc at all, it puts a little scuff on the center ring there. You can see that? But other than that, the disc is like new. Probably could have sanded it a bit more to get all those little scratches out, but for $100 it's very good. It's much better than that Skip Doctor. The Skip Doctor actually usually made things worse. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the review, and I'm gonna go play some Tony Hawk. Catch you next time.
Yeah.